All right, the Midnight Tape has just delivered a set of numbers that confirms we have entered the terminal phase of the Western financial experiment. Today is Friday, February 27th, 2026, and as the Eastern markets open their sessions, the data hitting the terminal is unlike anything recorded in the history of the precious metals markets. John AG has been tracking the first notice day cycles for over a decade, but what we are witnessing right now is a total systemic rejection of paper promises in favor of physical reality. The Shanghai Gold Exchange has just opened with a gap up that has left the London and New York traders in a state of absolute paralysis. While the mainstream media is trying to spin a narrative of market volatility, the internal mechanics of the global silver trade are screaming that the bridge between the paper price and the physical bar has finally snapped. We are looking at a world where the West has run out of the one strategic metal it needs to maintain its technological and military dominance. The data hitting the terminal regarding the COMEX Registered inventory is the most catastrophic set of numbers I have ever analyzed. We have officially crashed through the 75 million ounce floor, with the latest reports putting deliverable metal at a staggering 72 million ounces. To put the gravity of this situation into perspective for you, the open interest for the March delivery month, which begins today, is standing at over 160 million ounces. This is a mathematical certainty of default. John AG is looking at the delivery notices as they are being filed this morning, and the longs are standing their ground with a ferocity we have never seen. They are refusing the cash-in-lieu settlements. They are refusing the exchange for physical credits. They want the physical 1,000-ounce bars, and the COMEX simply does not have them. The shorts are trapped in a vault that is functionally empty, and the exit is being guarded by the laws of physics. Look at the divergence in the global premiums as the Shanghai market enters its mid-morning session. The domestic silver price in China has gapped up to an equivalent of $125 per ounce, while the New York spot price is still desperately trying to pretend that silver is worth $94. This is a $31 arbitrage canyon that is acting as a massive vacuum cleaner, sucking every available ounce of refined silver out of the Western Hemisphere and depositing it into Eastern vaults. John AG has warned you for years that the east to west drain would eventually hit a point of no return, and tonight we are witnessing the final collapse of the Western price discovery model. Every primary refinery in Mexico, Peru, and Australia is now bypassing the Western exchanges entirely because the Eastern premium is simply too large to ignore. The West is being stripped of its strategic metal reserves in real time, and they are powerless to stop it. The first notice day panic has now moved into the digital clearinghouses, where the settlement systems are struggling to reconcile the massive volume of physical delivery requests. We have confirmed reports this morning that the order matching systems at several major bullion banks have frozen due to what they are calling unprecedented message traffic. John AG knows better than to believe in technical glitches on the most important day of the delivery cycle. This is a deliberate freeze and manualize maneuver. They are turning off the digital screen so they can shuffle the remaining 72 million ounces of registered metal to the connected elites, while the retail public is left holding paper contracts that will likely be settled in devalued currency. This is the bail-in of the silver market. They are locking the doors to the burning building while the big players use the service elevator to escape with the physical bars. The industrial panic has reached a state of national security emergency for the tech sector this morning. John AG has primary sources inside the procurement department of a major aerospace firm who says they have been told no allocation for high-purity silver for the next 6 months. They are now in a direct bidding war with the solar industry and the central banks for every available gram of silver grain. Tesla, Samsung, and Raytheon are no longer looking at the COMEX ticker. They are sending private teams to the mine sites in Nevada and Canada to secure direct-to-refinery contracts at any price. The green energy revolution and the defense shield are both hitting a brick wall made of a physical silver deficit. The manufacturers have realized that the paper price is a fraud, and they are now bidding for physical reality at triple-digit prices in the shadow markets. The news out of Mexico regarding the nationalization of strategic mineral reserves has taken a dark turn this morning. The Mexican government has deployed the military to secure the perimeter of several major silver mines to ensure the stability of national resources. This is the black swan event that the bullion banks feared most. Mexico provides 25% of the world's silver, and with the military now controlling the outflow of concentrate, the Western supply chain is effectively severed. John AG is tracking the shipping manifests, and we are seeing zero silver leaving Mexican ports for northern destinations. This means the 72 million ounces left in the COMEX is all the West has left to satisfy a world that consumes over 1 billion ounces a year. This is the resource war moving into the endgame. If you have the metal, you have a future. If you only have paper, you have a memory. The $35 trillion debt wall is no longer a distant threat. It is a collapsing structure that is crushing the foundation of the global banking system today. The interest payments on the U.S. national debt have just hit a trajectory that is mathematically impossible to fund through tax revenue alone. This is the definition of systemic insolvency. The Federal Reserve is trapped. If they print money to bail out the failing bullion banks, the dollar enters a hyperinflationary death spiral. If they don't print, the banking system collapses under the weight of the naked short silver obligations. John A.G. sees the choice they've made. They will protect the institution by seizing the collateral of the middle class. The bail-in framework is already in place. If your wealth is digital, it is a liability for a bankrupt bank. If your wealth is physical silver in your own possession, you are the only one who is truly banked. Look at the gold to silver ratio as the morning session progresses. It is undergoing a terminal compression that is rewriting the history of precious metals. While gold is acting as the premier monetary reserve, silver is exploding as the ultimate indispensable industrial asset. John A.G. has pointed out that during every historical currency reset, silver outperforms gold by a factor of 5 to 1. We are watching the ratio drop from 85 to 1 toward 40 to 1 in a single trading cycle. If this ratio reverts to its natural geological mean of 15 to 1, which it must, the price of silver will enter a territory that the mainstream experts called a conspiracy theory. The rubber band is snapping back, and it is destroying every algorithmic short position in its path. The banks thought they could print digital silver forever. They forgot that the industrial world needs atoms, not bits. Every update I provide is based on the raw tape, and the tape today is telling us that the plumbing of the global financial system is officially broken. We are seeing record high fails to deliver FTDs in the silver ETFs and silver-backed equities. This means the people who think they own silver through a brokerage account are finding out they own nothing but an unsecured claim on an empty vault. John A.G. is telling you that the Wednesday blackout was a dress rehearsal for the total cyber polygon reset. In a world of digital illusions, the physical bar is the only ledger that cannot be erased with a keystroke or adjusted by a central bank algorithm. If the internet flickers tonight and the banking databases are recalculated, the only thing you will truly own is what you can touch, carry, and defend. This is why the establishment hates silver. It is the ultimate privacy asset. The face of shock you see in the data, that is the face of the institutional trader who realizes his short position, is 1,000 times larger than the physical metal he can actually source today. John A.G. sees this panic in the order flow as the first notice day begins. We are seeing panic covering in the shadow markets of Dubai and Singapore, where the bullion banks are desperately buying metal at any premium just to avoid a total exchange default in London today. But the East is not selling, they are holding. They know that the Western system is insolvent, and they are waiting for the total reset of the monetary order. The hunter has become the prey, and the prey has no silver left to feed the monster they created. The system has officially snapped, and the Shanghai breakout is the final warning for the West. The central banks of the BRICS nations are currently finalizing the framework for a new commodity-backed settlement unit that will include silver as a core strategic pillar. This is the end game for the dollar-denominated silver market. When the world's major producers of energy and metals decide to trade in a unit backed by those very assets, the global demand for the dollar drops to zero overnight. John A.G. is tracking the repo markets, and the collateral shortage is reaching a terminal crisis point. They need the metal to back the new system, and they are taking it from the Western exchanges. We are watching a hostile takeover of the global financial system by the people who actually produce the wealth. The paper changers are being expelled, and they are leaving with empty hands and empty vaults. The no-hype philosophy is about looking at the primary sources and the mathematics of the physical drain. If you look at the Indian import data from this morning, the demand for physical silver bars has increased by 800% year over year. The small man in the East understands what the Western expert does not, that paper is a promise, but silver is a payment. John A.G. knows that the 8 billion people on this planet are all trying to fit through a door that is only wide enough for a few million. When the masses realize that the banks are insolvent and the dollar is a ghost, the rush into silver will be the greatest wealth transfer in 500 years. You are not buying silver. You are exchanging a failing currency for a permanent store of value that cannot be printed by a central bank. Mexico's move toward military-secured nationalization is the ultimate black swan for the Western paper markets today. If the Mexican government stops all exports of silver concentrate to protect their own high-tech future, the COMEX will default within 24 hours. John A.G. is monitoring the diplomatic channels, and the tension between Mexico City and Washington is at an all-time high. The resource war has officially moved from oil to the strategic metals of the renewable age. If you don't own the physical metal in a jurisdiction you trust, you are at the mercy of geopolitics. This is why If you don't hold it, you don't own it, is the most important sentence in your financial vocabulary. The first notice day panic is just the beginning of the vault lockdown being implemented across the Western world. The industrial hunger for silver in 2026 has reached a point where the military-industrial complex is now in a direct bidding war with the tech companies for every available ounce of physical metal. Every high-tech missile, every satellite, and every advanced radar system requires silver for its superior conductivity. John A.G. has confirmed that the strategic national stockpile in several Western nations is functionally zero tonight. They have cannibalized their own strategic reserves to keep their current military systems running. This means there is no backstop. There is no government rescue coming when the retail public finally realizes the banks are empty. When the registered vaults hit zero, the market will move to no offer. You won't be able to buy silver at $94 because no one will be selling it. The price will become irrelevant because the availability is zero. The John A.G. logo stands for Financial Warfare Education because we are in a war for your financial future. The banks have the media, the politicians, and the printing presses. But we have the tape, we have the numbers, and most importantly, we have the physical. Today's morning data is a total validation for everyone who ignored the hype and focused on the registered drain. We are on the right side of history, and the great wealth transfer is the event we are living through right now. The $35 trillion system is functionally dead. It just hasn't realized it yet because the digital screens are still pretending everything is normal. But the Shanghai breakout proved that the illusion is fragile and the reset is inevitable. The physical world is finally demanding its due, and the paper lies are being consumed in the heat of reality. As the London market prepares for its morning fix, the ask prices in the private dealer networks have jumped another 18% in the last 4 hours. John A.G. is seeing silver bars being traded for gold bars at a ratio of 35-1 in the shadow markets of Singapore. The official price is a joke that only the uninformed still believe. The real price is being set by the people who have the metal in their possession and are refusing to sell it for fiat currency. This is the market decoupling in its terminal stage. By the time the news tells you that silver is the new gold, there will be none left to buy at any price. You are the early minority who saw the math, tracked the tape, and prepared for the first notice day to break the system. I want to highlight the psychological warfare being used against you today. The headlines are talking about market volatility and technical adjustments. This is a lie designed to keep you from pulling your money out of the failing banks. They want to trap you in the bail-in zone. John A.G. has seen this movie before. In every crisis, they tell the public that everything is fine, right up until the moment they lock the vault doors. But the 2026 scenario is different because the physical shortage is so acute that they cannot hide it with paper contracts anymore. The truth is leaking out through the premiums, through the delivery failures, and through the empty registered vaults. Don't be a victim of their digital illusions tonight. The first notice day is the moment of truth. The Shanghai breakout wasn't a glitch, it was a strategic move. The East is preparing the world for a new system where value is based on physical assets, not debt-based promises. John A.G. knows that silver is the ultimate freedom asset. You cannot turn off a physical silver bar with a keystroke. You cannot tax a transaction that happens in physical metal outside of their digital surveillance system. This is why they are so desperate to keep the price suppressed. They want you dependent on their digital lies. But the physical world is finally demanding its due. The producers are striking, the East is bidding 125s, and the vaults are empty. The paper system is burning, and the fire is spreading to the very foundation of the global banking infrastructure. We are heading into a 24-hour window that will define the next decade of your life. The March delivery month has begun, and the bullion banks are staring into an abyss of physical default. John A.G. predicts that we will see force majeure declared on several major commodity exchanges before the weekend is over. This will effectively end the futures market and move the world back to a physical-only trade model. The paper trap has officially snapped shut. If you are in the physical, you have a seat on the lifeboat. If you are in the paper, you are part of the ship. Stay sharp, watch the tape, and remember, the system has officially snapped under the weight of the silver shortage. I'll leave you with this final thought for the morning update. The exit is closed. The vaults are empty. The bail-in is live. John A.G. will be back for the 7:30 a.m. tape update as the New York session opens to what will likely be the most volatile session in financial history. We are living through the greatest wealth transfer in 500 years, and the data is the only light in the fog of financial warfare. Stay disciplined, watch the premiums in Shanghai, and for the love of everything, keep your eye on the physical. The paper market is a sinking ship, and the fire has reached the boiler room. It is time to step out of the illusion and into the reality of physical metal. All right, I'm out.